Now, in this, Peter felt this way, like he was never going to be the one to fall away. Peter and Jesus, they kind of had a tight bond. Peter really loved Jesus, and he was the most outspoken disciple of them all. And he was one of those guys, man, if Jesus said it, I will do it. All right? If he puts this on me, there is no doubt I'm going to be the one to save everybody because I believe my Messiah. And he looks at him, truly I tell you, Jesus answered, today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the others said the same. There is no way in Peter's mind that he could ever cause this. And I want you to understand, this is what's amazing about this. Listen, there are moments in our life, in our spiritual walk, as much as we want all this, right? All this, we want it. The problem is we don't want to give up our will for it. We don't want to just say yes completely with everything. We put limitations on it. We talked about that last week. And one of those things is with failure. And we don't think we deserve it. And so in it, we understand our failures and we're not ready to lay them at His feet. And so in it, we go, all right, yes, I want it, but I don't deserve it. And so just saturate me from the outside so I can look good. That I can be what everybody else looks, but this deep desire within cannot be resolved. Right? And this is what happened to Peter. Let's go on to the next. He discovers the pain. The pain of his failure. Let's see it. Then seizing him, and this is Jesus, they led him away and took him into the house of the high priest. Peter followed at a distance. And when some there had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard, and he sat down together, Peter sat down with them. A servant girl saw him seated there at the firelight. She looked closely at him and said, "This man was with him." But he denied it. "Woman, I don't know him," he said. A little later, someone else saw him and he said, You are also one." "Man, I am not." I like this. He was emphatic about it, right? Peter replied, after an hour later had asserted, "Certainly this fellow was with him, for he is a Galilean." Peter replied, "Man, I don't know what you are talking about." Just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked straight at Peter, and Peter was reminded of the word the Lord had spoken to him. "Before the rooster crows today, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. Has anybody wept bitterly? It's not fun. It hurts. And what I find interesting in this is the 2 times, even the 3rd time when he's done it, he still doesn't recognize his failure. Until what? He sees the eyes of Jesus. And I think this is why we struggle with understanding we don't even want to confront our failures, because the confrontation with our failures is what? Is the confrontation with our Savior. And I have a thing that I'm starting to understand with our relationship with our Messiah, Jesus. And like in modern therapy, it would probably be considered avoidance. It would probably be considered an unhealthy relationship, because every time you turn to that person, all you can see is what you've done wrong and how you don't deserve this relationship, right? It would probably be considered unhealthy. But the reality is this, it is because of everything who Jesus is in our life. And he already said all, right? Can you repeat it? All. All. Let's hear it one more time. Not some, not just the few, not just the ones that deserve to fall away, not just, he said all will fall way. We all fall under this blanket of this moment of going, we have failed somewhere along in our relationship with our Savior. The problem is some of us have not confronted it, because the moment we are in our presence of our Savior, what happens? We are confronted by what we have done to put our Savior on the cross. So it's easier to have a relationship with our Savior that is one like it's a mile wide and an inch deep in reality. You understand that? Like, we don't want to face our failures because we have to face the consequences of those failures. Peter in that moment realized everything that Jesus said was true. Up to this moment, it was by his own doing that he was going to be saved. It was by all his works and all his understanding of who he was in this relationship that he could not do wrong because he was in the presence of his Savior. And because of that, he was so fired up, there's no way. In fact, I will go to the ends of the earth with you. I will die with you. And just a moment later, denied him. Just hours later, denied him 3 times.